With a population of 90 million people, Vietnam is the easternmost country on the Indochina Peninsula in Southeast Asia. On this episode, join me, Katie, and Ashlee as we take you on a journey to discover the wonderful world of Vietnamese cuisine and culture. Vietnamese people and their culture are represented through many different parts of the world. Referred to as Viet Kieu by people in Vietnam, there are 4 distinct categories of Vietnamese migrants that rarely interact with each other. This map highlights the major overseas populations of Vietnamese immigrants and their reasons for immigration. As you can see, the vast majority fled Vietnam as refugees after the end of the Vietnam War in 1975 and reside in industrialized countries in North America, the European Union, and Australia. Pre-1975, there were fewer than 2,000 Vietnam-born people in Australia. Following the war, Australia agreed to resettle its share of Vietnam-born refugees between 1975 and 1985. Since the initial peak in 1975, there have been a number of immigration peaks which correspond to agreements between the Vietnamese and Australian governments, such as the Family Reunion Scheme and the Orderly Departure Program. These peaks and different ways of Vietnamese people have helped to keep the Vietnamese culture fresh and alive. The 2011 census, there were 185,039 Vietnamese-born people in Australia, equaling approximately 0.9% of the population, making Vietnamese the 7th largest ethnic group. With such a large number of Vietnamese immigrants living in Australia, their culture and cuisine is greatly influenced both by the culture and cuisine from their home country and the changes they have made since moving to Australia. This table illustrates the typical daily eating plan for an urban Viet person. As you can see, staples such as rice and noodles feature in each of the major meals. Due to the high prominence of street vendors in cities such as Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, breakfast and lunch are both often eaten on the street on the way to work or to school. This means dinner is the main meal of the day and normally includes rice, a meat dish, and vegetables. The meal is rarely divided into separate courses. Rather, all the food is served at once and shared from common dishes, set and accompanied by an array of sauces, flavouring, dips, and salads, a complete entity with many dishes. While the fast food craze is yet to reach Vietnam, with only one KFC in the country, beer hoys, where you can buy locally brewed beer at a very cheap price, are often a popular destination when eating out for lunch and dinner, as many provide meals.
When comparing this diet to the Australian Dietary Guidelines, as you can see in these 4 pie charts, there are some obvious differences. Viet people are consuming below the recommended guidelines in fruit, dairy, and carbohydrates, but are generally meeting the guidelines in other food groups. Although there has been an increase in the exports of evaporated milk powder to Vietnam, the Vietnamese dairy intake is well below the minimum daily requirement. This is because refrigerators are not readily available for food storage. The amount of energy-dense foods within the Vietnamese daily meal plan is also different to Australia's recommended daily intake of fats and discretionary items. As a lot of Vietnamese dishes contain nuts and a widely consumed snack amongst the population of deep-fried spring rolls, Vietnamese people tend to overconsume in this area. Whilst a typical daily eating plan such as this is common for Viet people residing in urban areas, types of food consumed differs based on the geography, creating a wide variety of foods found available in Vietnam, which are highlighted by this table. In the north, the colder climate limits the variety of spices and produce available, so that the food is lighter and less spicy than the central and southern regions. The north part of Vietnam is also influenced by the border it shares with China, meaning eating habits are inspired by Chinese dishes. The south, on the other hand, is hot and humid, contributing to the production of a wide variety of vegetables, fruit, and livestock. During the French occupation of southern Vietnam in the late 19th century, potatoes, asparagus, tarragon, shallots, and bread were introduced. Curried dishes are another common food in the south that were brought to the country by Indian traders. These important points of history have strongly influenced the country and their eating habits. For the most part, Vietnamese cuisine is also reflective of the country's cultural food philosophy. There is a belief that one's diet must include a balance between yin and yang, or hot and cold foods, and that an imbalanced consumption can result in sickness, as explained on the slide.
As Don and Ruin explain, too much yin through foods such as mango, beef, and garlic may lead to excess heat in the body and cause pimples, nosebleeds, and rashes. On the other hand, too much yang in foods such as melons, greens, and pork can lead to chilliness, abdominal pain, and diarrhea.
As you can see in the table, Vietnamese dishes are also influenced by the theory of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, and its associated categories, such as the 5 organs of the body. It is believed that these elements must be in balance with each other to achieve a harmonious, healthy body. This is achieved by including a balance of yin and yang foods in the diet. Cultural celebrations are another factor that influences food consumption patterns. The Vietnamese New Year, for instance, involves placing food on the family altar for one's ancestors. An incense stick is lit, and once it is finished burning, it is seen as a sign that the ancestors have finished eating, and that the rest of the family can begin eating their meal.
Examples of food eaten for this celebration include bang chung, a sticky rice with meat, beans, and vegetables wrapped in banana leaves, and chewy sweets called mut, made out of dried fruit and vegetables. During the festival, 5 wishes can be made for the new year after eating the 5 fruits: banana, mandarin, orange, grapefruit, and persimmon.
In some instances, food is avoided, such as by the devout Buddhists who fast as a way of freeing the mind. For the most part, however, religion does not play a significant role in the consumption or restriction of certain foods. Most commonly, fasting occurs during time of sickness, where the 5 elements and its individual connection with the earth need to be rebalanced. To achieve this, Vietnamese people will only drink hot water and eat thin rice gruel, which is rice with water and salt. Food has also been used for medicinal purposes, like bitter melon, for instance, which is believed to help control high blood pressure.
Thanks to the migration of Viet people to Australia, our country's food supply has been diversified. Not only have we been introduced to foods in this table, including Asian staples such as rice, soy, root vegetables, Asian greens, and various exotic fruits, we have also been introduced to Vietnamese cuisine through restaurants and fresh produce markets. This footage is from a Vietnamese market in Inala, where 32.4% of Queensland's Vietnamese people reside. While it stocks common ingredients found in Australia, Vietnamese foods such as boiled peanuts, jackfruit, and calamansi, and many others can be found here, increasing the availability of these foods to migrants.
Despite this availability, studies have shown that immigrants tend to alter their diet to better reflect a typical Western diet involving processed foods, sugary beverages, and takeaway. This has also resulted in a decreased consumption of protective foods such as lentils, soy, green vegetables, and tea. Food substitutes are another concern for Vietnamese immigrants. Viet people often mistake a westernized version of a traditional Vietnamese food as being just like what they consume back in their home country. For example, traditional vermicelli noodles are substituted for ready-made fried noodles. Rice for breakfast is replaced with sugary cereal, bread for lunch, and potato for dinner. Tofu is replaced with cheese, and herbal tea is replaced with sugary beverages. Unfortunately, the nutritional benefits of these substitutes are often poor.
When compared to those residing in Vietnam, these acculturation factors and nutritional differences have helped contribute to an increased rate of type 2 diabetes and other associated diseases amongst Vietnamese-born people in Australia. In a recent study, it was found that Vietnamese-born individuals had a significantly higher prevalence of type 2 diabetes and lower levels of vegetable consumption and physical activity. Although there has been a significant increase in type 2 diabetes in Vietnam with a rate of 3.8%, this is well below the rate of 13.1% amongst Vietnamese Australians. This is also well above the national rate of 4% found amongst Australians. Vietnamese people perceive food in a starkly different manner to Australians, with concepts such as yin and yang and the 5 elements playing a major role in their food choices and food consumption patterns. Whilst fresh produce like those which is available in Vietnam is also accessible in Australia, Western dietary influences have substantially altered the diet of Vietnamese immigrants. As a result, rates of dietary-induced diseases such as type 2 diabetes are on the rise. Factors that influence food choices and food consumption patterns should be recognised by Australian healthcare professionals so that a smoother, healthier acculturation process can be achieved.